Vice Chancellor, MIT World Peace University, to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you so much. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the esteemed guests today. I would like to thank the chairman, Dr. Shende, Rajendra Shende, for his expert remark. I also would like to thank Dr. Sanjay Upadhyay, Dr. S.N. Pathan. Special thanks all the way you came from the Germany, and Dr. Evelyn, Dr. Rajesh ji, thanks for facilitating and your kind words. Thank you so much. And nevertheless, many thanks to Honorable Founder President Dr. Vishwanath Karat sir. So with this brief, we will be concluding this session here, and we will be starting the next session immediately, because something very unique is going to happen in this session. Honorable Karan Singh has endorsed, today is the 25th year, the silver jubilee year of the UNESCO chair at Banaras Hindu University. And Honorable Karan Singh, Padma Vibhushan Karan Singh, endorsed that Lifetime Achievement Award has to be given to Vishwadharmi Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karat, and the entire team of the BHU came here just to honor him. And that will happen at the end of this session. In the beginning, we will listen to the experts, and at the last, this special Lifetime Achievement Award will be conferred upon the UNESCO Chair and Honorable Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karat sir. So thank you so much again, and I request all the dignitaries to get off the dais. We will be changing the nameplates and inviting the next speakers to come and join. I request all my dear audience to remain here so that we can continue with the next session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for offering vote of thanks. May I now request and invite the dignitaries for the next session. The theme of the session is need to understand the chemistry of mind, nature of matter, soul, spirit and consciousness, the ultimate truth, ultimate reality, Almighty God. May I please invite Dr. Ramesh Dateji, eminent philosopher and thinker Varanasi, to join us on the dais. Honorable Dr. Alice Hankey, eminent professor of yoga and physical science, USA. Honorable Dr. Jayant Khandare, Director, School of Consciousness, MIT World Peace University. Honorable Ms. Anandi Ravinathan, eminent scientist and philosopher, Bengaluru. Honorable Dr. Venugopal Java, Kashi, Banaras, Uttar Pradesh. And Honorable Professor Geshe Gangwan Shamthin, Vice Chancellor, Center University of Tibetan Studies, Sarnath, Varanasi. May I request all the dignitaries to kindly join us here for the session 7, day 2, session 7, need to understand the ultimate chemistry of mind, nature of matter, soul, spirit and consciousness, the ultimate truth, ultimate reality, Almighty God. I once again invite Dr. Ramesh Dateji, Dr. Alice Hankey.
Honorable Vice Chancellor of the Sampurnananda University, बहुत स्वागत है सर. Dr. हरिराम त्रिपाठी जी की उपस्थिति यहाँ पे. I request you to be a part of this August gathering and dais. Sir, मैं आपसे request करता हूँ कि you be there.
theme of the session is need to understand the chemistry of mind, nature of matter, soul, spirit and consciousness, the ultimate truth, ultimate reality, Almighty God. The session would have eminent speakers. I request Honorable Dr. Alice Hankey to join us on the dais, eminent professor of yoga and physical science, professor of biology at MIT World Peace University. We are also joined by Honorable Ms. Anandi Ravinathan, Honorable Dr. Venugopal Zava, Geshe Gangwang Samthin, Honorable Dr. Manoj Mishra ji, Co-Ordinator UNESCO Chair for Peace, Dr. Priyankar Upadhyay ji, UNESCO Chair for Peace BHU, and UNESCO Chairholder Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karat Sir, MIT World Peace University. I request Dr. Priyankar Upadhyay ji to come to the dais.
I request Dr. Priyankar Upadhyay ji and Dr. Manoj Mishra to please come on the dais. Honorable Dr. Priyankar Upadhyay ji. I request Dr. Manoj Mishra to please come and join us here. I welcome all the team members, the professors, research scholars of BHU to be the part of this very, very exciting moment, the very, very historic moment. I also request Dr. Jayant Khandare to come onto the dais, please.
Dr. Jayant Khandare.
मैं बुलाता हूँ
Thank you everyone for being with us for this day 2 session 7. The theme of the session is need to understand the chemistry of mind, nature of matter, soul, spirit and consciousness, the ultimate truth, ultimate reality, Almighty God, in the 9th Parliament of Science, Religion and Philosophy to promote culture of peace in the world based on the ethos of G20, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. To begin with, may I now request my technical team to start the session with Shankar Dhwani to enlighten us with the vibrations of Shankar. Technical team.
I request आप इधर से आ जाइए महाराज जी.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for that divine sound.
स्थिरैराङ्गै तुष्टो वाग्गोसस्तान् व्यर्भ्यसे माहि देवहिताञ्जदायोः द्यौः शान्तिरन्तरिक्षगो शान्तिः पृथिवी शान्तिरापः शान्तिरोखधयः शान्तिः वनस्पतयः शान्तिर्विश्वे देवाः शान्तिर्ब्रह्म शान्तिः सर्वज्ञो शान्तिः शान्तिरेव शान्तिः सामा शान्तिरेधिः ॐ शान्ति।
Thank you. Thank you. Dear audience, please put your hands together for this vibrant and divine sound that has really changed everything here. Now, we would have a short Omkar meditation. I request everyone on the dais, to sit relax, close your eyes. Everyone in the audience is requested to sit relax, close your eyes and participate in the Omkar meditation, the sound that is Nada Brahma, that would definitely bless us with the divine spirit. Everyone in the audience, sit relax, close your eyes. Technical team, please relay the Omkar Dhwani. Just be there, gently rub your palms, create energy, upload your face and experience the bliss of Omkar, the Nad Brahma, the sound. Now it's time to felicitate all our chief guests and guests on the dais. May I now request Honorable Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karat sir to felicitate the guest of honors here. Would like to start with Dr. Ramesh Date. The keynote address would be delivered by him, eminent philosopher and thinker Varanasi, Dr. Ramesh Date ji. Please put your hands to the audience. Next, Dr. Alex Hankey. Dr. Alex Hankey, Professor of Biology, expert in yoga and physical science. Dr. Alex Hankey, please put your hands together. Now, may I request to felicitate Honorable Ms. Anandi Ravinathan, eminent scientist and philosopher from Bengaluru, Honorable Ms. Anandi Ravinathan. Now, may I request to felicitate Honorable Dr. Venugopal Zawar from Kashi, Banaras. Dr. Venugopal Zawar. Please, audience, keep clapping. A huge round of applause. May I also request to felicitate Honorable Professor Geshe Gangwan Samton, Vice Chancellor, Central University of Tibetan Studies, Varanasi. Professor Geshe Gangwan Samton. Put your hands together, everyone.
I also request to honor the Vice Chancellor of the Sampurnananda University, Dr. Hariram Tripathi ji. I also request to honor Dr. Manoj Mishra, the coordinator of this Malviya Center of Peace Research, the UNESCO Chair for Peace and Intercultural Understanding, Banaras Hindu University. Dr. Manoj Mishra.
May I request to felicitate Dr. Jayant Khandare, Director, School of Consciousness, MIT World Peace University. Dr. Jayant Khandare, MIT World Peace University, Director, School of Consciousness.
And nevertheless, we have with us Honorable Dr. Priyankar Upadhyay ji, the distinguished professor and senior advisor, also the UNESCO Chair for Peace, the BHU. I request Honorable Dr. Vishwanath Karat sir to honor Dr. Priyankar Upadhyay.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I request all the dignitaries to be seated on the dais. Moving on, after felicitation, may I now request my technical team to relay the curtain raiser video on the theme Need to Understand the Chemistry of Mind, Nature of Matter, Soul, Spirit and Consciousness, the Ultimate Truth, Ultimate Reality, Almighty God. Over to technical team.
This session is based on the need to understand the chemistry of mind, nature of matter, soul, spirit and consciousness, the ultimate truth, the ultimate reality, Almighty God. There is a dire need to change the very definition of the word philosophy and its perceived meaning. There have been saints, sages, seers and prophets throughout the centuries who have been looked upon as religious preachers and at times those who promote blind faith. However, in reality of most of the saints, sages, seers and prophets are actually providing the pathway to inner peace and how to live in contentment with oneself. The methods adopted by each one may be different, but the ultimate goal is welfare of the entire humanity. Therefore, it is our firm belief that the greatest saints, sages, seers and prophets should be considered as philosophers and not as religious preachers only. In this session, we will discuss the nature of mind, matter, spirit and consciousness, and the methods of meditation like yoga, vipassana, pranayama, namaz, prayer, chanting, etc. to develop positive thinking and mindset.
Thank you, technical team. To begin with, I would like to request Honorable Vice Chancellor of the Sampurnananda University, Dr. Hariram Tripathi, to address the gathering. I request you, sir, to please guide all of us. I request you to speak your mind on this occasion.
परम सम्माननीयः अस्य कार्यक्रमस्य अध्यक्षः थर्राट महोदयः एवं तत्र नवम विश्व पार्लियामेंट ऑफ साइंस एंड रिलीजन एंड फिलॉसफी टू प्रमोटेड कल्चर ऑफ पीस ऑफ द वर्ल्ड इत्यस्य तस्य थीम वर्तते वसुधैव कुटुम्बकम् यत्र विश्वं भवत्येकनेटम् इति अस्माकम् उद्घोषः वेदस्य वर्तते। अत्र मञ्चे विराजमानाः विविधेषु शास्त्रेषु निष्णाताः विद्वांसः यद्यपि सर्वेषां नामानि इदानीं समयाभावात् न वक्तुं शक्यते, अतएव अत्र समुपस्थिताः विविधेषु शास्त्रेषु निष्णाताः विविधासु कलासु निष्णाताः विद्वांसः प्रेयांसः छात्राः अस्माकं भ्रातरो भगिन्यश्च भवन्तः जानन्ति यत् अस्माकं MIT इत्यस्य यः चेयरमैन् अस्ति, अध्यक्षः वर्तते, सः सम्पूर्ण विश्वस्य कल्याणं कथं भवेत्, कथं ये केपि सम्प्रदायाः सन्ति, धर्मानुरागिणः सन्ति, सर्वेषां भावना एकात्मकता स्वरूपेण भवेत्, विश्वस्य कल्याणं कथं भवेत् इति चिन्तनं विधाय तत्र विज्ञान तत्र अस्माकं वैदिक साहित्येषु या विज्ञानस्य तत्त्वानि सन्ति तेषां समेषां तत्त्वानां समाधानाय अथ च विश्वकल्याणाय अस्माकं यत् माननीय प्रधानमन्त्रिणः यत् लक्ष्यं वर्तते यत्र विश्वं भवत्येकनेटं वसुधैव कुटुम्बकम् इति स्वीकृत्य गच्छामः। अस्य राष्ट्रस्य या राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति वर्तते सम्पूर्ण विश्वे तस्य ख्याति भवेत्, वयं विश्वगुरवः भवामः इति चिन्तनं कृत्वा एतत् आयोजनं वर्तते। हमारा सौभाग्य है कि जैसे कि आप जानते हैं MIT की वर्ल्ड पीस यूनिवर्सिटी पुणे से जो उसके चेयरमैन हैं, संस्थापक आचार्य हैं, जिनके विषय में यदि कहा जाए तो हमारे जैसे आया कि सूर्य की बात को सूर्य प्रभवो वंशः, कालिदास कहते हैं मैं सूर्य के प्रभाव को एक सूर्य वंश का वर्णन एक अल्पमति कालिदास कर सकता हूँ। तो ऐसे विद्वत वरेण्य जो इतने जिस MIT विश्वविद्यालय को देखने में लगा कि वो एक स्वर्ग है जिसमें सभी धर्मों का समन्वय है और उसी उद्देश्य से लेकर के वसुधैव कुटुम्बकम की भावना से G20 के अंतर्गत प्रोत्साहित करने के लिए काशी विश्वनाथ धाम में ये जो दिव्य आयोजन जो जिनने हमारे उसके जो अनुयायी सदस्य और अधिकारी वहाँ के MIT के कुलपति वो वाइस चांसलर प्रो वाइस चांसलर इत्यादि मिलकर के जो ये कार्य कर रहे हैं बहुत उच्च स्तरीय। जैसा कि आप जानते हैं कि अभी हम लोग ध्वनि ओंकार की सुन रहे थे, आया है शास्त्रों में पुराणों में आया है कि कंठम भित्वा विनिर्यात तेन मांगलिका उभौ अथोंकार शब्दश्च द्वावेतौ ब्रह्मणः पुरा कंठम भित्वा विनिर्यात तेन मांगलिका उभौ। अथ शब्द और ओंकार शब्द ब्रह्मा के कंठ को भेद करके निकला है, इसलिए कुछ अत्यंत मांगलिक कहा जाता है। जहां पर मंगल ओम शब्द का उच्चारण होता है तो मंगल ही मंगल होता है। तत्र यहाँ पर आया है कि योग दर्शन में चित्त के वृत्तियों के निरोध से योग समाधि सच साम योग समाधि सच सार्वभौम चित्त से धर्म। योग समाधि को कहते हो, सार्वभौम चित्त का धर्म है। वो संप्रज्ञात समाधि और संप्रज्ञात समाधि दो भेद है। अब वो आया कि उस योग की समाधि की प्राप्ति के लिए चित्त के वृत्तियों का निरोध से योग की प्राप्ति होती है। और आया कि उस चित्त के वृत्तियों का निरोध कैसे होता है, तो वहां पर आया यत्न और अभ्यास। वो भी क्या, ईश्वरस्य प्रणिधानात्। ओम शब्द ईश्वर का वाची है, ओंकार शब्द ब्रह्मांड में ईश्वर का वाची है। उस ईश्वर से, ईश्वर के प्रणिधान से, भक्ति विशेष से चित्त के वृत्तियों का निरोध होता है, जिससे मोक्ष की प्राप्ति होती है। तो सभी विश्व के कल्याण के लिए जो आयोजन, जैसा कि आप जानते हैं कि MIT जो वर्ल्ड पीस यूनिवर्सिटी के द्वारा इस तरह के अनेकों आयोजन किए जाते हैं। काशी में, विश्वनाथ धाम में इस तरह का उच्च स्तरीय आयोजन, जिसकी श्रुति विश्रुत संपूर्ण भारतवर्ष में दिव्यान है, ये उसके माध्यम से संपूर्ण विश्व में फैल रहा है। ये हमारा सौभाग्य है। ऐसे महानुभाव के विविध वक्ताओं के द्वारा समायोजित जो भारतीय फिलॉसफी, जैसे आप देखें वैशेषिक दर्शन में जो गुरुत्वाकर्षण सिद्धांत, विमान का सिद्धांत, और एक देखा जाए तो परमाणु विज्ञान का सिद्धांत हमारे जो सबसे पहले कणाद ने वैशेषिक दर्शन में स्वीकृत किया। इसी तरह से जैसे यजुर्वेद में यह जुहु, यह शब्द का अर्थ है एक ऐसा पदार्थ, अत्यंत सूक्ष्म पदार्थ जो स्थिर है, यू उसकी परिक्रमा कर रहा है। तो हमारे ऋषियों ने इलेक्ट्रॉन प्रोटॉन की चर्चा वैदिक काल में की थी। इस तरह के अनेक वैज्ञानिक तत्व है जिसका रहस्योद्घाटन इस त्रिदिवसीय गोष्ठी में संभव हो रहा है। आगे ये देखिए, सरकार के नई शिक्षा नीति 2020 के अनुसार कुछ नए नवाचार जिससे विश्व का कल्याण हो और भारत की महत्ता हो, तो इस नवाचार के माध्यम, त्रिदिवसीय गोष्ठी में जो नवाचार के माध्यम से आगे आने वाली पीढ़ी इसका लाभ उठाएगी। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ हमारे जो महानुभाव यहाँ पर बैठे हैं, जिन्होंने आयोजन किया और इसको संयोजन कर रहे हैं, जो अध्यक्ष हैं, सबको अपने तरफ से कृतज्ञता अर्पित करते हुए ये विद्वत मंडली विविध, जैसे काशी को तो कहा जाए कणकर में शिव है, तो ये शिव स्वरूप जो यहाँ पर विद्यमान और अद्वैत वेदांत दर्शन के अहमेव ब्रह्मास्मि त्वम तत्असि, तुम ही ब्रह्म हो, तो हम सभी ब्रह्म हैं। बस एक अज्ञान की व्यष्टि और समष्टि से आवृत होने के कारण अपने स्वरूप को नहीं देख पाते हैं। कालांतर में इस ओम ध्वनि द्वारा और इस तरह के आयोजन से उस परम पिता परमेश्वर निराकार ब्रह्म के स्वरूप का हम समावलोकन कर सकते हैं, दर्शन कर सकते हैं। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ अपने, चूंकि समय अभाव है, हमारे विविध शास्त्रेषु निष्णातः अत्र विद्वांसः अनेकेषु शास्त्रेषु प्रवीणाः विद्वांसः सन्ति सूत्र रूपेण एतदेव उक्त्वा विश्वस्य कल्याणं भवतु अनया रीत्या वसुधैव कुटुम्बकम जत्र विश्वम भवत्येकनीडम। यहाँ पर संपूर्ण विश्व एक घोंसला है, उस घोंसले में हम सभी नहीं, संपूर्ण विश्व के जीव जंतु और मनुष्य निवास करते हैं। उसमें एकत्व की भावना हो, विश्व का कल्याण हो, एक दूसरे के प्रति सहनशीलता हो, समरसता समाज में हो और राष्ट्रीय एकता और बंधुत्व भावना स्थापित हो। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ अपने वाणी को सबको नमस्कार करते हुए अपने वाणी को विराम देता हूँ। जयतु भारतम, जयतु विश्वनाथ धाम।
जोरदार तालियों से उनका अभिवादन करें, अभिनंदन करें। श्री हरे राम त्रिपाठी जी, वाइस चांसलर। शुक्रिया सर। Now moving on, may I invite Dr. Ramesh Dateji, eminent philosopher and thinker, to give us a keynote address. Date sir told me to introduce him with one phrase. He said, just introduce me as a disciple of Santa Jnaneshwara. Nothing greater than this be someone's introduction. Please welcome Dr. Ramesh Dateji on the stage.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I will thank Honorable Dr. Vishwanath ji Karhad and entire MIT family. I am really, I was wondering yesterday how that family has organized all this structure here and the program coming from Pune all the way. Now I'll start directly with the subject. Now, the first question arises, why should we understand the chemistry of mind? Upanishad says, Mana eva karanam manushyanam bandha mokshayoho. It means mind alone is responsible for binding and liberation of human being. So that is the first question. The next question arises, what is moksha? Moksha is the Atma Jnana, that is knowledge about the Atman. And then the next question is, what is Atman? Atman is, we can say, it has 5 defining elements. First is, it is ajanma. Ajanma means it is never born. Since it is never born, it cannot die also. So it is a existence, pure existence, which exists whether universe exists or universe doesn't exist. It is independent of the existence of the universe. Then the second, that is also called Sat. The second character of the Atman is Chit, that is pure knowledge. It is the entity of knowing. But it is a knowing without any knower or a known. That's the main difference between Atman and all other beings. All other beings also know because they are creation of the Atman. So a part of the Atman is there. So knowing faculty is there already in all living beings. But the difference is, for all living beings, there is a subject and an object, there is a knower and there is a known. And the next category we can say is, Atman is Anandamaya, or a pure bliss. It means it does not need any object or a imaginary or material object for his ananda. And there is another, we can say, he is akarta. Why he is akarta? Because he doesn't do anything. All the manifestation, what we think that a universe is created, it lasts for some time, and then it again merges in the Atman, is all our imagination of mind. Actually, nothing has happened. All these forms, names and forms, multitudes, is a form of the Atman itself. So he is akarta. Our entire universe is created. It arises from him. The Brahma Sutra says, Janmadi asya yataha. It means all universe also is created by the Atman, but still it is not created anything because nothing is different from him. Now we know what is Atma Jnana. The next question arises, how to achieve that? Now this is a very interesting thing. Now to know anything in our day-to-day life, say I want to know what is this bottle, what is this stage, table, chair. I don't have to become table, chair or a bottle. I can understand bottle, chair, table or anything without becoming that thing. But Atman has a peculiarity that you can know Atman only if you become like that. There is a very good article on consciousness by Thomas Nagel, which is titled as, what is it to be like a bat? It means that if we want to understand what a bat is, we have to become bat. There is no other solution. Like that, if you want to know the Atman, you have to become like an Atman. There is no other solution. Then what the question arises, how to become like an Atman? Because we have 3 tools with us, our mind, intellect and ego. Ego is always wants to do something. He is a karta, he is a bhokta. So he wants to do something, but Atman is not karta. We have defined Atman as akarta. So ahankar has no reach there. Mind has no reach because mind is always desiring something. Mind desires joy from something. But Atman is joy without any object. So mind cannot reach that. Intellect too cannot reach there because intellect wants to know something. Intellect is a knower and he wants something to be known. But Atman is a knowledge without known and knower. So mind, intellect and ego, all the three tools which we have, which we normally use in our day-to-day life, are useless. Then how can we achieve or know or realize the Atman? There is one method prescribed by the Upanishads. Chandogya Upanishad says that Mano is Annamayaha. What it means that whatever we eat or digest, the subtlest part is converted into mind. But what is food actually? That is defined not in Chandogya, it is in Brihadaranyaka. Brihadaranyaka says there are 7 types of foods. Your body needs food, which is of a different type. Your mind needs food, which is of different type. Your sense organs need food, which is of different type. And your ego needs food, which is of different type. So there are different types of foods, and essence of all that goes to build up my mind. So we have to be very careful what we eat, what food we give to our sense organs, to our mind, to our intellect, and to our ego. If all of them always are thinking about the Atman, then there is a possibility that we can become like an Atman. So the shortest story is that all our instruments like the karmendriyas, jnanendriyas, mind, intellect, vacha, and ego, if all of them all the time think about the Atman, then there is a possibility that we can become like an Atman, or we can get Atmajnana. That is the only way, and that is the essence of all the Upanishads. There is no other method, and then there are different means. Say we are talking about philosophy, spirituality, matter, mind, like that, and apparently it appears that all these are different terms. What is the similarity between them? How they can be brought together, or we can synthesize all that, is a different issue. There is a very shortage of time. There are many dignitaries on the dais, and I will like to listen to them rather than explaining you further. This is a very long topic. We can talk hours and hours on this, but there is a time limit, and I would like to conclude within time. So I am requesting, there will be ifs and buts, how to achieve that. What is the solution for that? I would request Dr. Vishwanath Karad to organize such sessions, specific sessions, where we can discuss all these ifs and buts. So we can formulate the problems and try to find out the solutions. And if such events are organized frequently, definitely we can solve all our problems. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Ramesh Dateji, for your words of wisdom. Thank you so much. May I now introduce the next speaker, distinguished speaker, Honorable Dr. Alex Hankey. Dr. Alex Hankey has served as a professor of biology at MIT World Peace University, Pune. Previously, from 2011 to 2019, he was a distinguished professor of yoga and physical science at Swami Vivekananda Anusandhana Sanstha. Sir has been on Stanford's 2% list of top researchers 2020 and 21. Publications to be heard, 125 articles in peer-reviewed academic journals, 5 book chapters, a book, and a poetry booklet with 2,128 citation in H Index 24. I am absolutely overwhelmed and privileged to welcome Dr. Alex Hankey to address her. Sir, please put your hands together for Dr. Alex Hankey.
Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Revered Dr. Vishwanath Karad, I find myself truly humbled to be able to speak in your presence and after such eminent speakers in this conference. As I have often done at your conferences, I want to make a highly innovative scientific discovery available to everyone at this conference. It needs writing up in a full scientific paper, but it's absolutely at the heart of this relationship between science and religion. It is a new, rigorous theory of free will. As we all know, there is the individual will, there is the will of God, and between them, the individual will is only truly a free will if it has freedom of choice. Unless there is freedom of choice, which materialists and communists and Mamata in Calcutta and the president of China deride and deny, unless there is freedom of choice, we cannot have free will. So this starts with a theory of free will, of freedom of choice, and if we exercise our freedom of choice in accordance with divine will, then that freedom continues. But if our free will goes against divine will, then the degree of freedom diminishes. So this is actually a highly complex and rich subject at the very heart of science and religion. So would the technical team please put my slides on the screen, please. The first slide, next slide. The introduction is simply a thank you here to His Great Eminence, revered Dr. Vishwanath Karad, our founding director at MIT. Next, please. So, again, I think we're short of time, so please go through the next slide also. What I'm going to do for you is I've explained the background in the next slide. This is the physics of free will. Free will is denied by materialists. A typical materialist philosopher who has provided a highly sophisticated argument against it is the Korean philosopher who worked in, South Korean of course, who worked in US universities such as Princeton, Cornell, and ended up as Professor Emeritus of Philosophy at Brown University. They deny free will because they say the whole world is just mechanical. It's just cause and effect. And if there's just cause and effect, then everything that the human brain does has no freedom of choice. Only Kim Jae-gwon, to put his Korean name, introduced a very interesting argument. What he essentially said was that you have cause and effect. If you were to have freedom of choice, something would have to be able to, quote, the word is supervene, and the noun is supervenience. And I have to thank a colleague called Kathy Reason, very good word, Catholic as it were, reason, to explain this meaning of the term supervenience to me. It's not a usual term in English, it's quite sophisticated in philosophy. And so what I'm going to show you is that when you start from the theory of self-consciousness that I have developed, you then get a deeply valid theory of free will which refutes Kim Jae-gwon. So next, please. Sorry, I really can't read these. The presentation is divided into three parts. The first part has to do with how the self arises. The second part, probably on the next slide, outline. What is the title of that slide? What? Okay, next slide, please. Next slide, please.
You can see this screen.
Oh, yeah, okay. So the part one is the nature of our sense of self. Next, please. Part two, next, please. It's complicated, this, because one has to understand the relationship between physics and consciousness. Consciousness demands that, or physics demands, quantum physics, the consciousness collapses the wave function. This means that because wave functions cannot collapse wave functions, that consciousness is not described by quantum physics. I cannot emphasize this enough. Consciousness is not described by quantum physics. Next, please. So the physics.
Sir is saying you can speak on this slide. It will be okay.
Light? Less?
You can speak on your own slide.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Okay. So the physics of consciousness demands that it's not described by quantum theory. So go to the next slide. These are the people who set up that entire structure of physics. Niels Bohr on the left, Werner Heisenberg on the right, and the very great genius John von Neumann underneath. Next, please. So, next, please. Next, please. Next, please. When we look at human decision making, which is where free will takes place, we have to say that consciousness, self-awareness, swa, interacts with the world through a process of receiving information through the organs of sense and acting on the world through the organs of action. And this is essentially what we call creative intelligence. Next slide, please. So creative intelligence acts on the world, and if the physics of consciousness is described by instabilities, then, which was put in number one, part one, fairly lengthily, then you have to describe the physics of decision-making, creative intelligence, by a physics of instabilities. And go to the next slide, please. The point about the physics of instabilities is that they do not propagate things according to cause and effect. So our entire physiology depends on the theory of complexity in biology, which I'm popularizing at MIT World Peace University. And this complexity biology includes instabilities, and the instabilities mean that one is transcending any normal theory of cause and effect. And going on, please, next slide, next slide, next slide. This means that consciousness is actually able to supervene, because there is now no cause and effect. It's been destroyed by the instabilities. Consciousness is able to supervene in between cause and effect of what went before and what comes after, and is able to exert its creative intelligence in a new and innovative way on creation. And I shall leave my presentation at that point, because I've stated for you the key point, and time is now up. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Dr. Alex Sankey, for that presentation and presenting us one of your research. Thank you so much. May I now introduce the next speaker, Honorable Dr. Anandi Ravinathan, an eminent scientist and philosopher, Bengaluru. She has been a meditation counselor, having practiced meditation for last 2 decades. PG Biotechnology from IIT Bombay, and author of Mind Your DNA, where she says it's the fusion of Eastern philosophy with its esoteric science and the Western scientific research and observations that would inspire readers to explore what lies beyond the manifest universe and hence enable them to transcend the physical nature of human body. Please put your hands together for Miss Anandi Ravina.
Respected dignitaries on the dais, eminent speakers, guests, I would like to firstly express my deepest gratitude to Honorable Dr. Vishwanath Karad for giving me this opportunity to address such an august audience in this unique conference, the 9th World Parliament on Religion, Science and Philosophy, at this such a holy place like Varanasi in the Kashi-Vishwanath corridor. So many thanks and my gratitude to Honorable Dr. Vishwanath Karad. So my own spiritual journey, can I have the first slide please? The next one. So my own spiritual journey started after I met my Guruji Kumar Krishnamurti ji, who was a corporate person and he had a spiritual streak in him. He had had live darshan of Shri Gajanan Maharaj of Shegaon, and after which he started going into deep states of meditation. And he used to speak about meditation, and the whole thing was recorded, and the book Inner Light Cosmic Meditation was born. Next slide please. So as I started helping him in his work in the Inner Light Cosmic Meditation, my own meditation got initiated, and I used to go into deep states of dhyana avastha, and I started getting insights into what is happening in our body physical at the molecular level in deep states of meditation. So since my background was biotechnology, initially I thought that probably it was my mind play, and I kind of didn't pay much attention to it or didn't take it seriously. But later on, as the divine revelations started happening more and more, I took it more seriously, compiled them, substantiated them with a lot of scientific work done by various people in various institutions, and thus the book Mind Your DNA was born. Even the title of the book Mind Your DNA was revealed to me while I was in deep states of meditation. So the gist of the book is mind, DNA and our consciousness are in constant communion. Next slide please. So we need to understand mind first. Now I would like to describe mind as a matrix. It's a collection of it's a very complex network of thoughts. It's a collection of huge amount of data. It's a collection of huge amount of information which can be termed as samskaras. We are all born with a certain set of samskaras in our mind, and there is a build-up of these samskaras as we grow up. So what are these samskaras? These are basically psychological impressions or emotional imprints that are created by various experiences of our past life and of our current life. And each of these experiences are associated with a set of memories, emotions, and each of these emotions are associated with a set of thoughts. So that is why I would like to describe mind as a complex network of thoughts. Now, mind has always been considered to be of an abstract entity. It has never been considered that mind has got a name and a structure or a form. Now, I would like to take you back to the ancient scriptures, especially the Prashna Upanishad, where sage Pipalda is instructing his students, and he is explaining to them about the creation of the universe. So he is very categorically stating that every creation in the universe, whether it is microcosm or macrocosm, has got two aspects to it, the matter and the energy form, which we have all seen in this equation E is equal to mc square, but it was declared by sage Pipalda in the Prashna Upanishad long back, in the ancient times. So each of these matter form, each of these creation has got the matter and the energy form, and each of these matter has got two attributes to it, the name and the form. Name is basically the physical and the chemical properties of that matter, and form is a structure or the shape that matter would take depending upon the content of the data or the information that is stored in that matter. So that is why I would like to again emphasize that mind has got to be a subtle matter form. Next slide, please. So before I connect mind and DNA, I would like to just discuss this project, mega project, which was carried out in the US very briefly. So this was a mega project, it was a decade-long project, and the main objective of the project was to sequence the entire DNA and find out which portions of the DNA were responsible for various diseases. And eventually at the end of a decade-long project, it was found that only 2% of our DNA codes for proteins, the structural and the functional proteins. The remaining 98%, they termed it as non-coding DNA. They couldn't understand what the 98% of the DNA is doing, so they even declared it as junk DNA. Now, and the other interesting thing they found that among that 2% coding DNA, human and the mouse were 99.9% alike. So this was very intriguing. And when the results of the Human Genome Project was declared in the US White House, the then President Bill Clinton even made a remark, are we trying to understand the language in which God created? So he made a very casual statement, but I think there is a lot of truth in it. Is it possible that the physical structure of ours, the human body of ours, is just 2% of who we are? The remaining 98% of who we are, our being, is our energy form. So that is something which we need to understand. Next slide, please. So I would like to describe DNA as an intricate molecule with infinite potential. Intricate because we need to understand DNA in terms of its dimensions, in terms of its functions, in terms of its information storage capacity. So we find that it is 120 times narrower than the shortest visible spectrum. It is more sophisticated than the most sophisticated information storage device that is available. And as far as function is concerned, it does thousands of reactions every picosecond. So it is that intricate. I have shown the silk threads purposely because you need a highly dexterous hands, skilled hands to roll 2 meters of silk thread around a bobbin, whereas the DNA is doing this every picosecond several million times. So that is why this cannot be possible if the DNA were not associated with a highly intelligent energy form, which is the consciousness. So DNA is the only molecule, according to me, which can communicate with the consciousness which is surrounding all of us. Next slide, please. So if we understand this further, we are made up of more than 100 trillion cells, and there are more than 215 types of cells in our body. But if you look at each and every cell, the cells in the heart, the cells in the stomach internal lining, the cells in the nervous system, the cells in the kidneys, lungs, every one of these cells have got the complete set of same blueprint. This complete genome is the same in each and every cell. But they are structurally so different, and there is an algorithm according to which they function. So this algorithm is possible because it is associated with the consciousness with it. Next slide, please. In the recent past, a lot of epigenetic changes have been attributed to various diseases. Epigenetic changes are basically control of gene expressions because of various stressful events in our life. So epigenetic changes have been attributed to diseases, and the reversal of epigenetic changes have been also reported by various scientific studies by techniques of relaxation like yoga and meditation. So now there is a scientific evidence available that stress impacts the DNA negatively, meditation impacts the DNA positively. So if we try to analyze it, whenever we are stressed, it is the mind which feels the stress first before the body is felt, in terms of facing some health issues. Similarly, when we start meditating, when a person starts meditating, it is the mind which feels the relaxation, there is positivity, there is peace, and so many different positive things happen. And before the positivity is felt by the body. So which means mind and DNA are both feeling the impact of stress and also the impact of meditation first before the body is felt. So the mind is basically the DNA, or the DNA, a part of the DNA is actually our mind. So, and mind is always in communion with the consciousness. That is why I would like to say mind, DNA and consciousness are in constant communion. Next slide please. So mind, just like we have emotions in our, for various, we have various facial expressions for different types of emotions. Similarly, our mind, the DNA takes up different conformations or, three-dimensional structure, and that's how the mind stores the information. Can I go to the next slide, please? So the thoughts that are stored in the mind are they have both subatomic, they are like subatomic particles. They have both wave-like and particle in nature, and they are also photonic in nature. In fact, recently the Nobel Prize for the physics has been given for quantum entangled particles. If thoughts can be comprehended as subatomic particles, then it would be easier to understand this quantum entanglement theory, because thoughts are like quantum entangled particles, and they can have an impact in spite of the geographical distance. Can I have the next slide please? Can I go to the last slide, because I think I don't have enough time to, can I carry on? Beg your pardon? So basically, the point I'm trying to make through this book is science and spirituality are two sides of the same coin, and they have to, science and spirituality have to complement and supplement each other, because a lot of questions get revealed through meditation, even to a scientist. In fact, every invention, every discovery right from the Stone Age till this current age has been possible because the human has held his mind in a non-thought state, in a state of meditation. So thank you so much once again for this opportunity that I got to address in this conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Ms. Anadi Ravinathan, for your wonderful presentation and enlightening us with research.
Thank you so much. The time has come where the BHU UNESCO Chair for Peace presents Lifetime Achievement Award to UNESCO Chair Dr. Vishwanath Karat sir. It's a great honor. This is the 9th World Parliament on Science, Religion and Philosophy. The entire team of BHU, the Malviya Center for Peace Research, UNESCO Chair for Peace and Intercultural Understanding. I request the Honorable Dr. Priyankar Upadhyay to please brief us first and then confer the award. Dr. Priyankar Upadhyay ji. And I request Dr. Prashant Kumar, Professor Prashant Kumar, to please come onto the dais. It's a great honor. The entire team is the Lifetime Achievement Award. The Banaras Hindu University UNESCO Chair for Peace presents Lifetime Achievement Award to UNESCO Chair Professor Dr. Vishwanath D. Karat sir. I request Dr. Priyankar Upadhyay ji to please share his mind on this occasion.
ये प्रणाम करता हूँ सभी को। आज का दिन कई अर्थों में ऐतिहासिक दिन बना। आज हमने हमारे पीस सेंटर की जो बनारस हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी का बहुत प्रेस्टिजियस सेंटर का we celebrated the 25th anniversary of our center, and which was presided over by Dr. Karan Singh. And during his chair position, the entire Peace Center and all the senior professors of Banaras Hindu University, we sat together and we decided to start a new award, and that is Lifetime Achievement Award in Peace Education. And the only name that came to us, all of us unanimously, was that of Dr. Revered Dr. Vishwanath D. Karat, whose life is an example of peace building, who is so many first. He is the first UNESCO chair holder in this country, and everything that he does aims at a very larger and, as he calls it, a holistic notion of culture for peace. So it's just a historic moment. Believe me, we never thought, and the idea came from no less person but Dr. Karan Singh himself, who this morning at BHU, he said, by all means, I grace and I bless this. So this is the first award of its kind which goes to Dr. Karat and calls for celebration.
It's a time for a group photograph. Dr. Priyankar Upadhyay, please join us for the photograph. Dr. Manoj Mishra ji, the coordinator, the UNESCO Chair for Peace, Malviya Center for Peace Research, Dr. Prashant Kumar, and all the senior faculties, professor, dean, directors of BHU, they came all the way for conferring this Lifetime Achievement Award to none other than Vishwadharmi Professor Dr. Vishwanath D. Karat. The moment to be captured, the lifetime moment. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you all. Dr. Anju Upadhyay, Dr. Priyankar Upadhyay, Dr. Prashant Kumar, Dr. Manoj Mishra, and the entire team, the research scholars, the professors, thank you so much. Dr. Anju Upadhyay ji honoring Mrs. Usha Devi Vishwanath Karat. It's a great moment again. I suggest both of you to face the camera, please. Mrs. Usha Devi Vishwanath Karat.
In continuation with the session that we had started with. Thank you everyone, kindly settle down. May I now invite the next distinguished speaker, Honorable Dr. Venu Gopal Jawar. Dr. Venu Gopal Jawar is a senior consultant of psychiatry and director at Deva Institute of Healthcare and Research, DIHR, a multi-specialty neuropsychiatric clinic in the ancient city of Varanasi, India. He also gives voluntary service to Ramakrishna Mission Home Varanasi. He is currently leading projects on learning disorders and ERP, cognition in first episode, psychosis, empathy, cognition, and virtual reality therapy. Please put your hands together to welcome Dr. Venu Gopal Jawar in this very session. Sir, over to you.
हरिओम, सबको प्रणाम, सबका अभिनंदन. I know I have only 10 minutes. This is also a disclosure to me. It was just informed to me. But before this, I need to say something to Karat sir. Sir, Dr. Karat sir. Sir Karat sir. Before I start my presentation, I need to share just for 30 seconds. First time I heard about MIT and Dr. Karat sir was together. And that was by one of my mentor, Professor Russell D'Souza from Melbourne, Australia. He was in fact awarded at MIT. And my real mentor, a man who brought me into biological psychiatry, Dr. Mohandas, he was also awarded there. That was the first time I heard of both the names, MIT and Dr. Karat. And then I'm here because of my very dear teacher, friend, guide, Professor Yogendra Mishra ji. He asked me that this is a program, will you be participating? I said it is a great honor. And indeed now after coming, I think it's not a great honor. It's an honor of avant-garde. So with this, thank you very much. May I have the slides, please? Yeah, we can go to slide 2 and then directly to. So when this topic was given to me, to be very honest, I was very confused what I'm supposed to do. Because it had so many things. There was mind, chemistry, nature, matter, soul, spirit, consciousness. And then to sum up, it was truth, reality and God. So first of all, I was confused because I'm not an expert in this area. I'm a psychiatrist by profession who practices behavioral neurosciences. So I primarily practice behavioral neurosciences. But whatever little I have done, I'll try to do the best of the justice by unification. So we can go to slide number 19 directly, 19, because my previous speaker has made my job much easier. Can we go to slide number 19, please? Yeah, from here. So I start the things because all the other things have already been discussed. From spirituality, what we understand is it's a combination of trust, love, forgiveness, joy, gratitude, hope, and compassion. And of late, my research area has been cognition and empathy. And because of this, I could learn few things. You can go to the next slide. The evidence is limited. But this limited evidence still is enough. It is primarily from imaging studies, mainly from PET, by yoga, by various kinds of yoga, then MRIs, then SPECT, and then fMRIs. Next. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. Okay. So the spiritual experiences, and when we see the brain areas, various brain areas, they get stimulated. And in fact, we could see there is a limited evidence, especially the Larry Cohn and studies. They say that the decline also goes down. Suppose a man in his 60, 65 feels that he is going through MCI, that is mild cognitive impairment, or even AMI, age-associated memory impairment, and he started practice switching, not anything, just highest degree of empathy, just highest degree of tendency of giving, and not even thinking about taking. Even that leads to a highest level of achievement. And this achievement is at the level of mind. We can certainly discuss, like some of my colleagues said that we should have, I think, he said that we should have many more seminars because mind itself will take almost centuries to discuss. Because whether it's a part of body, whether it is something else, whether it is not in the body, whether it is out of this, similarly applies to soul. Next areas. So I think the most important thing is basically it increases neuroplasticity. So there are two figures which are very alerting. One is 1300, another is 100 billion. Our brain is 1300 gram and we have 100 billion neurons. So all this around us, whatever is happening, is just between these two figures. So we are playing with a 1300 gram structure, one of the smallest structure, and 100 billion neurons. And we are playing with that. And since millennia and rather more than and multiple millennia, we still need to discover more. So this is a process of discovery. This is a process of knowing yourself and knowing someone else. Feeling someone else and knowing yourself is the ideal path by which you can enlighten your consciousness. This is what all our religious text says. I'm not at all an expert in those areas. Neither I've read them, to be very honest. But yes, I can correlate with my biological understanding that most of the literature, they eventually boil down to this. Think about others, work for them, have highest degree of empathy, and you see your neuroplasticity keeps on growing, keeps on growing. Ultimately, brain is a plastic structure. More the neuroplasticity, more is neurogenesis. More is the neurogenesis, more is the new synapse. More is the new synapse, more are the newer connections. And more are the newer connection, more enlightened you are. So this is a very simple mathematical process, provided we do a deeper understanding. Next, please. I think I'll skip this part. Now, when I was going through this topic, then I understood the person who made this topic was a genius, not a brilliant, he was a genius. Because he probably had thought that truth, reality, ultimately will lead to a path called God. So it's the Almighty, it will lead to Almighty, and which is all forgiving, All giving is basically getting connected to God. Biologically, truth is how tandem you are in reality. And this starts with orientation. If you see a person in delirium, he is not oriented. But you can't say that he is not true. But in real life, if a person knowing that he has done something and he doesn't speak that way, so cognitively he is not oriented in his real state of mind. In state of mind is not oriented. So if that has detrimental effect on your cortex, these two will have detrimental effect. So this is such a beautiful correlation of both the things. Next. And ultimate truth, as somebody was talking in my previous session, that it's a process, that how continuously you can remain truthful, or you don't get jittery, you don't get jeopardized, you don't get shuffles. So how continuously true you can be to yourself, to your surroundings, to the situation, and ultimately to your own consciousness. Next slide, please. Are we real? We are real. We feel we are real. But are we real in our mind? Is our soul real? Is our soul really connected to our mind the way it should be? Is our body connected in the real way to our soul and mind? These are few of the questions which need to be answered. And my request to founders and workers and professors in MIT, just 2 more minutes, thank you. I still have 1 minute 56 seconds. So is that we should do some collaborative work to basically do some hardcore neuroscience work along with this other work. Next slide, please. Next. This is a small sort of a graphical representation which makes very simple. The one is the Atma or Atman. Even I'm not clear how do you pronounce it, whether it is Atma or Atman. That's not my area, but I think it's Atman, so I'll pronounce it as Atma. So the integration in the relation. So basically, a spirit, the real spirit, that we say that sportsman spirit, but that doesn't amount to spirituality. So the real spirit comes from the purpose of life. That's the real spirit of life. Next. It's the objective. Almighty God is all. And how I understand is, it's basically unification. Can we all reach to that one apical point where we say that all is one and one is all? That's what. So one of my professor always used to tell me, it's the Brahm which is the most important thing. And one of my colleague who is now he practices in New Zealand, he used to say, Sir, Brahm to theek hai. Brahm ka bhram nahi hona chahiye. He always used to say it like that, which is also very true. So now couple of very interesting things, the parting shots. Next slide, please. Can we modify and reinvent the wheel? Probably yes. Improved methodology in selecting homogeneous meditation practice and testify with neuroimaging correlates, which I was referring to. The ancient wisdom must be accepted before it is thrown out. That's something very important. Reverse engineering. Subject instant thought, intuitive wisdom, spiritual practice, including so many things, and we need to find the proof concept. From experiential to experimental. Is language the barrier? Yes, I strongly say, I think we are not seeing in the slide number 34. Is language the barrier? Because we read most of the literature in English and we think in our own language. So I think, like Professor Hariram Tripathi ji, he gave his lecture in Sanskrit. That was like an eye-opener to me, and I really salute him for this. So we should probably develop a language, the same language in which we think, in which we read, so we can be more productive and more useful. Unfortunately, lack of documentation is the major problem. So we should start documenting everything. So two big questions. Come to the last slide, please. Two big questions. So thanks for patience hearing and giving me this great opportunity. I feel really obliged. What is the need to understand the chemistry of mind, nature of matter, soul, spirit, and consciousness? That's question number one. Question two, what do we understand by ultimate truth, ultimate reality, and the Almighty God? Answers are simple and straight to my little minuscule mind. Be simple, think clearly, work for others. And the true objectives are peace and productivity. We should be at peace, we should be productive. Kabira kahe uddam kijiye. So these should be only two objectives. With this, thank you very much. Hari Om.
Thank you so much, Dr. Venu Gopal Zawar, for that wonderful presentation. Thanks a lot. It's time now to invite Honorable Professor Geshe Gawang Samtin, Vice Chancellor, Central University of Tibetan Studies, Varanasi. When Professor Geshe Gawang Samtin has assumed the charge of Vice Chancellor of the Central Institute of Higher Tibetan Studies on 30th April 2022, he is a renowned scholar of Buddhist and Tibetan studies. His contribution to the field of studies is highly recognized in the academic circles. He has been awarded with the prestigious Padma Shri Award by the Government of India in the field of education and literature in 2009. Please put your hands together to Padma awardee Professor Geshe Gawang Samtin.
Respected Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karatji, Professor Hari Ramji, and distinguished scholars on the dais, and also distinguished scholars and ladies and gentlemen. Today is really a very auspicious occasion that Dr. Vishwanath Karatji has brought all of us together to contemplate on a very important subject. And this is not just simply confined to this occasion, but he has been doing this for decades together to promote peace in the world and to develop a culture of peace through various efforts. If you visit his dome in Pune, that really resembles the union of all the religious systems, and not only religious systems, but also the thinkers and scientists, bringing all the thinkers and the contributors to human knowledge and human wisdom. He has brought them together, and so that is something worth seeing. So today, the 9th Parliament of Science, Religion and Spirituality and Philosophy, these are the things that which are the assets of humanity. And science has made lots of developments, contributed a lot, and we must accept that, we must appreciate that. At the same time, religious systems, the religions, systems and traditions have also brought a similar kind of contribution and give contributions to the world. The humanity, as we can see that in India, this kind of gathering, as we can see that in a single room, under same roof, we saw the gatherings of the galaxies and leaders of various religious tradition. That is the soul of India. That is the essence of India, because in ancient India, the India had such a pluralistic attitude, with the freedom to not only expression but thought, and then maintaining them, not only confined to that, but having such a rich interaction, which took the Indian a system of knowledge and a system of wisdom to such a sophisticated level that we can see that ancient Indian wisdom that is appreciated everywhere, and that is the asset and the legacy of India. And this has to be brought to the world platform. And we have the science and the spirituality and religion. The science actually is not confined to what we call the modern science, but the science in ancient Indian system also. There was science, we have science in tradition, but certainly we must appreciate that the modern science, modern Western scientist and science, world of science has developed it to a very, taking it to a very furthest kind of destination, which has, benefited a lot. We must appreciate that. But the ancient Indian tradition also had a very strong sense of, the development of science in terms of understanding the material world, as well as understanding, particularly the understanding the inner world and the science of mind. In terms of understanding the material world, today we can see that the quantum physics, which is being, discussed in the modern physics world, was already discussed 2000 years back in India by Acharya Nagarjuna of Nalanda University, Nalanda Mahavihara. And today, when they discuss about the quantum physics, that the particles, they cannot find the ultimate unit, but it dissolves either in the form of waves or in the, dissolves ultimately, then that is already expressed in great detail by Acharya Nagarjuna in his Mul Madhyamika Karika, and also by the subsequent masters. And so therefore we can say that the science already existed in Indian traditional knowledge system, but at the same time we must cooperate with the Western science and modern science and make our spirituality and religion as a supplementary or complementary to each other, without developing any kind of antagonistic attitude, saying that this is Western, this is Eastern, and then this kind of bifurcation. Actually, we as a humanity, we should appreciate all the knowledge systems and wisdom, and then try to work together for the benefit of humanity, so that we can take all these things forward. In terms of understanding the science of the mind that you can find in ancient Indian tradition, particularly in the ancient Indian knowledge system and tradition of Nalanda, you can find a great detailed account of mind, with explanation of different components of mental episodes and mental elements. For example, in a 1 second's time, when you are engaged to an object, within that very time, either it is virtuous or non-virtuous or neutral state, there are components of 22 to 15, 17, and 20 mental elements working together at a time. So those components are are bifurcated and divided, and each of those components can be understood in great detail. What are the causes of those components? How they come into existence? What are the process of their development? What are the impact on one's own mindset, and also at the physical level, and its impact on your behavior and its impact on society. So these are studied in great detail with the great explanation, and these are making great impact on modern neuroscientists. For the last 30 years, the neuroscientists of Harvard, Yale, Wisconsin University, and Emory universities, they have been working and lots of research papers were published, and so many new developments have come up, and groundbreaking developments. As one of our earlier speaker was talking about the neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is a result of that study, because earlier the neuroscientists used to think that neurons are static by nature, But through meditation and research, they came to know that neurons are plastic in nature. And not only that, then epigenetic and the genes expression can be changed through environment, change of environment and things like that. So these are, very extremely rich, that the modern neuroscience is yet to reach to that stage. And the good thing is that we are now collaborating together and then moving forward. I think that kind of attitude should be there, rather than dividing the Eastern civilization, Western civilization. We should say that this is a human civilization and bring it together and move forward and then collaborate, make it supplementary and complementary to each other, so that we can successfully move forward for the benefit of human beings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. Please put your hands together for Honorable Professor Geshi Gawangji. Thank you, sir. May I now invite Honorable Dr. Jayant Khandareji, Director, School of Consciousness, MIT World Peace University, Pune, Bharat, to share his thoughts. Over to you, sir.
नमस्कार. भारत माझा देश आहे. सारे भारतीय माझे बंधू आणि भगिनी आहेत. It's great honor, it's a privilege, it's a very sentimental to be here today and speak for 5 to 7 minutes as a scientist, that whether the God is there and why this God has created all this what we see here. As a scientist, we ask why, who, and where. So I will, with due respect to Karat sir, our revered leader, only who can imagine this kind of an occasions, this kind of an events, bringing science and religion in a place which is of a knowledge, which is of a divine knowledge. And when I meet him, he always asks me that whether I believe in God. As a scientist, science actually needs an events, science needs a design of experiment, science needs results, science needs conclusion. However, I think if I put my presentation, which I want to show only what God has created in forms of a physical aspects and in form of a biological aspect. So I come as a director and responsible for the School of Consciousness. That's one of the most interesting school that Karat sir has begun, which will actually be interface science and religion and matter and consciousness. And already madam has expressed about what is actually a physical body involved with. So it's all in DNA. I think that's what she has been mentioning about. But as a scientist, I do not know what was the purpose of a God to create all of us, both universe and human mind, and what are actually today's our problems that probably God has created. That's what is my context. I see here Dr. Suchitra, I see many doctors here in the family, I see madam. I think in a modern world, there are actually two important problems that are most important. One is what sir says about a peace, a harmony, a love, affection, which actually is most important in the future perspective of this world. But unfortunately, we have many challenges. When I walk today 3 kilometers in this corridor, you could see how vibrant we are, how vibrant this country is, how multilingual people are here. It's so colorful. I don't think so that this kind of a form you will find anywhere. So I think that I should talk about existence to exit, because when nature has created us, it's an existence, but nature has also made our exit in the form of, if we are not immortal, we will actually probably eventually exit. Next slide. So consciousness is black and white. You must see whether it is a black or white in your form. I think it requires lot of context, lot of time, lot of philosophical aspect. Next slide, please. So we know that universe is continuous, a dynamic process. It cannot be, a static process. It is evolving. And neither the scientists like Penrose or Einstein have been able to deliberate the purpose of formation of an universe. So I'm nobody to talk about why God created this universe. And what is in consciousness that actually universe, that is present in the universe is in context. But my work is in a biology. So Karat sir always asks me that you work in cancer biology, so do single cell or cancer cell purges the consciousness. I see here Swami Amarnath ji, we spoke for about an hour or so, and it's very interesting that in modern world that the most important problem that all this human mind is actually, human population is going to be associated with certain health related issues. We know that while the world population is increasing, the diseases are also increasing, and the cancer, big cancer is not an exception. The world cancer incidences are rising. Those who understand this, 19 million people had cancer in 2020. About 1 crore people died because of a cancer. Fortunately, India has only 10% of cancer incidences versus Western world, which is about 25% to 30%. So my first question in this audience, especially those who practice philosophy as well as science, is to look further and resolve the problems that humanity is going to face it. As I mentioned, India is a large population. Just take 10% of a population that will actually have cancer incidences. And the 5-year survival is very, very poor, although the scientific capabilities are actually phenomenal. The COVID and post-COVID, Karat sir felt that our scientists must practice science very consciously. That is the whole purpose of actually forming this School of Consciousness in MIT Kothurud area. I must request all of you to applaud Karat sir's most distinguished thought, that what probably he has done his life is to bring this school called as a School of Consciousness. Next slide, please. Next slide. Look the complexity of a world. We are a small, simple dot, right? We have physical weight of 50 kilograms to maybe 100 kilograms. We are nobody. That's what probably science tells. And let us look what actually, when we possess as a physical body, what does it mean to? Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Look at this simple dot. While we see Earth, while we see Moon, while we see solar system, while we see universe, I would like to put your attention to this dot, what you see in this black matter. And I know that only doctors will understand. This is a cancer cell that actually circulates in a body that is going to bring number and millions of actually cancer cases and deaths in humanity. What do we do about it? When we are a developed country, we have no other way to find a path through research and science. And I'm sure that MIT World, Kothurud campus, our Solapur campus, our MAEER campus, we need to actually look into the scientific problems that what is. I've seen about 25,000 cancer cells that actually I have imaged what you see here. I met this cancer patient about a year back. All technologies proved that she didn't carried any cancer disease. But when we took a blood sample from this patient, we found this culprit, a fugitive, which was actually there into her blood. Unfortunately, she left to abort within 6 to 7 months of a time. Science has a power to extend human life. That's what is the sum up I want to say. We can talk about philosophy, religion, harmony for a breakfast, but it will not serve us a dinner. That's what a purpose scientist actually does. I'm very glad that Karat sir has given this responsibility to many of us, that scientists probably will be able to resolve human problems that are actually going to come as we are going to be into a developed country. Thank you very much and wish you all the best.
Thank you, Dr. Jayan Khandareji. Thank you so much, dear audience. It is said by Dr. Bennett Roy, good leaders have vision. They inspire others to help them turn vision into reality. Great leaders have vision, share vision, and inspire others to create their own. I unquote Roy Bennett. I think we have Dr. Vishwanath Karat sir amongst us, who has actually helped us, shared his vision and inspired us to create our own visions of life. It's time to invite UNESCO chairholder Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karat sir to address us. Please put your hands together for his presidential address on day 2 in this session.
धन्यवाद। मुझे पता नहीं, अभी यहाँ मिस्टर दाते बैठे हैं, यहाँ साइकोलॉजी के प्रोफेसर थे, अभी बाहर गए। ये मैड लोगों का सम्मेलन ऐसे लगा आपने, पागल लोग हैं, इंक्लूडिंग माई सेल्फ। ज़्यादा नहीं बोलूँगा। स्वयं को खोजने की एक कोशिश है। ईश्वर नाम के हमारे अमरनाथ साहब हमेशा बोलते हैं, ये व्यक्ति नहीं शक्ति है, और शक्ति दिखती नहीं है। वो दृष्टि कहाँ से आए, कौन दिखाएगा, कैसे दिखाएगा पता नहीं, लेकिन एक सत्य की खोज, एक प्रयास, जिसे अभी जयंत खंडारे जी ने कहा, बड़े साइंटिस्ट है, यंग है, कैंसर जैसे बीमारी के दायरे में लड़ने की कोशिश है, और उनको हमने सब्जेक्ट दिया, व्हाट इज कॉन्शियसनेस एंड व्हाट इज रियलिटी, अंतिम सत्य क्या है। पता नहीं इस एक जीवन में अंतिम सत्य का दर्शन हुआ क्या नहीं, लेकिन मुझे एक बात आई, मैंने बोला भी होगा 10 बार, कि जगत गुरु संत तुकाराम महाराज जब बोलते कि शांति परते नाही सुख एरा अवघेच दुःख म्हणून शांति धरा उतराल पहले तरह। थोड़ी मजे की बात, मैं जब वर्ल्ड पीस की बात करता हूँ तो बहुत साल के पहले मुझे लोगों ने पूछा कि सर आप दुनिया में शांति की बात करते हो, तुम्हारे मन को, दिल को शांति है? मैं सोच में पड़ गया। तो मैं बोला भाई सही बोलूँ तो मेरे मन को शांति नहीं है। अभी मेरे मन को शांति नहीं है तो मैं दुनिया को क्या शांति दे सकता हूँ? मैंने उस पर उत्तर कुछ दिया नहीं। मजे की बात की कि हर घर में शांति होने के लिए बहू और सास का नाता अच्छा होना चाहिए, माँ जैसा और बेटी जैसा। लोगों को अच्छा लगता है, लेकिन मेरे ख्याल से एक बात हुई कि इस जगह पर आने के बाद, बहुत सालों के बाद मैं यहाँ आया हूँ। जैसे हमारे गुरु बोलते थे कि बुलावा आ गया भाई, संकेत, संदेश आ जाता है। ये भी सही है क्या? मैंने बोला आपको कि भाई मुझे सुबह सुबह कोई ऐसा संकेत मिलता है, संदेश आता है कि अरे तेरा फर्ज है ये, यू मस्ट गो एंड डू दिस वर्क। This is also a duty and a work which has been assigned to us for all of us, कि भाई आप क्यों मिले हैं यहाँ पे, काय को आए, किसके लिए आए, क्या खोज करना है। तो शायद अपना ये मिलना ये भी निश्चित है, इंडिकेशन है कि ईश्वर का एक संदेश समझ के कोई ड्यूटी करने के लिए अपन इकट्ठा आए। मैंने बहुत गौर से सुना, हमारे दाते साहब को सुना, ये बाकी अभी अभी महानुभाव यहाँ से गए, मेरे भाई सारनाथ के मुख्य, द वाइस चांसलर एंड वन ऑफ द ग्रेट एजुकेशनिस्ट आई कुड सी इन हिम। बुद्धा की याद आ गई, सारी बातें हैं। इस भारत का एक नया सांस्कृतिक धरोहर की बात जब चलती है तो मुझे लगता है कि जिस उद्देश्य यहाँ पे आना हुआ उसका छोटा सा स्वरूप, मैं सुबह भी बोला कि इस हॉल में पता नहीं यहाँ क्यों चर्चा हो रही है, इस हॉल का क्या स्वरूप है। ये जो कॉरिडोर बनवाया मोदी साहब ने, उससे क्या फीलिंग आता है, क्या दर्शन होता है। तो मैं इतना ही कहूँगा कि रियली इट इज़ गोइंग टू इमर्ज एज अ नॉलेज फॉर द होल वर्ल्ड एंड शो द पाथवे ऑफ हार्मनी एंड पीस टू मैनकाइंड. अपने से नहीं, लेकिन अपने सारे लोगों को मिलके ये करने का संकल्प है. सत्य, मेरी अभी अभी कोई सम्मान हुआ, कोई पुरस्कार हुआ, जीवन में पहली बार हो रहा है. पता नहीं कि ये यहाँ होने वाला था, अपेक्षा तो नहीं. विदाउट एनी एक्सपेक्टेशंस एंड वेरी कोई अपेक्षा रखकर ये काम नहीं होता है. सुबह भी मैं कुछ बोला हूँ, ज़्यादा नहीं बोलूँगा, लेकिन वी सी ए डिवाइन मैसेज which we have to carry forward, and that is to promote the culture of peace in the world through the appropriate understanding of the role of science and spirituality. Science क्या कहता है? Finding the unity is the purpose of science. Spirituality क्या है? पता नहीं. Mind, matter, spirit and consciousness. 30 साल के पहले शायद ये चर्चा हुई थी, वो अभी तक जारी है. I still remember the chairman of the neurologist committee of India, मद्रास से डॉक्टर थे, नाम मैं भूल गया, but I had given him the subject like this that time, and I said I would like to understand what is mind, what is the spirit, and what is consciousness, and what is ultimate reality. उनको पूछा गया था कि हमारे महाराष्ट्र में एक नाम है जिनका नाम जरा दूसरी यादी में है, नाम नहीं बोलूँगा मैं. उनके कोई इल्ज़ाम है, क्या क्या बातें, डरते लोग सारे. तो बोले कि भाई, तो उनको पूछा गया कि भाई वो आदमी कैसे बना, तो उन्होंने कहा कराड़ जैसे बना वैसा ही वो बना. इसका मकसद बहुत अलग था. तो मैं सोचने लगा कि इसकी खोज करने की ज़रूरत है, और उसी खोज में आज तक का यह प्रयास, ये जर्नी, the life mission, life journey has taken place. I think the discussion, it's, I know that my own friends जो पीछे बैठे हैं, लेकिन वो सच्चे वैष्णव लोग हैं. परंपरा है ज्ञानेश्वर की और तुकाराम महाराज की. शायद जो बात मुझे समझ में नहीं आई वो भी उनके समझ में है. उनका कोई भजन हो या पूजन हो, मैं तो कहूँगा कि आप इजाज़त दे तो मेरे भाषण से अच्छा है कि तुम खड़े हो जाओ. भाई सब खंडारे एक भजन मन रे रूप पाहता मन, भाषण वही है.
माइक दा प्लीज.
इसके समापन करेंगे भाई.
हॅलो हॅलो. अवघे गरजे पंढरपूर, अवघे गरजे पंढरपूर, चालला नामाचा गजर, चालला नामाचा गजर, चालला नामाचा गजर. अवघे अवघे गरजे पंढरपूर, अवघे गरजे पंढरपूर, चालला नामाचा गजर, चालला नामाचा गजर, चालला नामाचा गजर. गरजे पंढरपूर, अवघे गरजे पंढरपूर, चालला नामाचा गजर, चालला नामाचा गजर, चालला नामाचा गजर. विठ्ठल
विठ्ठल विठ्ठल या नामाचा, विठ्ठल विठ्ठल या नामाचा,
विठ्ठल विठ्ठल या नामाचा, विठ्ठल विठ्ठल या नामाचा,
विठ्ठल 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 गजर चालला भक्त जनाचा,
भक्त जनाचा,
पंढरी सोडून येथे बैसला, पंढरी सोडून येथे बैसला, प्रगटला रखुमाईचा वर, प्रगटला रखुमाईचा वर, चालला नामाचा गजर, चालला नामाचा गजर, चालला नामाचा गजर, अवघे
गरजे पंढरपूर, अवघे गरजे पंढरपूर, चालला नामाचा गजर, चालला नामाचा गजर, चालला नामाचा गजर,
वारकऱ्यांचे समूह जमतील,
वारकऱ्याचे समूह जमतील,
अबीर लावणी भजनी रमतील,
लावणी भजनी भ्रमतील,
टाळ मृदुंग वीणे वाजती,
टाळ मृदुंग वीणे वाजती,
ज्ञानबा तुकाराम, ज्ञानबा तुकाराम, टाळ मृदुंग वीणे वाजती,
मृदुंग वीणे वाजती,
ओ घुमती मंजुळ स्वर, ओ घुमती मंजुळ स्वर, चालला नामाचा गजर, चालला नामाचा गजर, चालला नामाचा गजर,
अवघे गरजे पंढरपूर, अवघे गरजे पंढरपूर, चालला नामाचा गजर, चालला नामाचा गजर, चालला नामाचा गजर,
राम कृष्ण हरी विठ्ठल केशवा,
कृष्ण हरी विठ्ठल केशव,
मार्ग हा प्रांजळ वैकुंठीचा,
हा प्रांजळ वैकुंठी,
मार्ग हा प्रांजळ, मार्ग हा प्रांजळ वैकुंठीचा, मार्ग हा प्रांजळ वैकुंठीचा,
प्रांजळ वैकुंठीचा,
विठ्ठल विठ्ठल नाम गर्जता,
विठ्ठल नाम
विठ्ठल 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 विठ्ठल, मार्ग हा प्रांजळ वैकुंठीचा,
हा प्रांजळ वैकुंठीचा,
विठ्ठल विठ्ठल नाम गर्जता, विठ्ठल विठ्ठल नाम गर्जता, मने गोरा कुंभार, ओ मने गोरा कुंभार, चालला नामाचा गजर, चालला नामाचा गजर, चालला नामाचा गजर,
अवघे गरजे पंढरपूर, अवघे गरजे पंढरपूर, चालला नामाचा गजर चालला, नामाचा गजर चालला, नामाचा गजर.
शिव भोळा चक्रवर्ती, शिव भोळा चक्रवर्ती,
शिव भोळा चक्रवर्ती, शिव भोळा चक्रवर्ती.
त्याचे पाय माझे चित्ती, त्याचे पाय माझे चित्ती, वाचे वदता शिवनाम, वाचे वदता शिवनाम.
त्याचे पाय माझे चित्ती, त्याचे पाय माझे चित्ती, वाचे वदता शिवनाम, वाचे वदता शिवनाम.
तयान बाधे क्रोध काम, तयान बाधे क्रोध काम, वाचे वदता शिवनाम, वाचे वदता शिवनाम.
तयान बाधे क्रोध काम, तयान बाधे क्रोध काम, वाचे वदता शिवनाम, वाचे वदता शिवनाम.
धर्मार्थ काम मोक्ष, धर्मार्थ काम मोक्ष,
धर्मार्थ काम मोक्ष, धर्मार्थ काम मोक्ष.
शिव देखता प्रत्यक्ष, शिव देखता प्रत्यक्ष, वाचे वदता शिवनाम, वाचे वदता शिवनाम.
देखता प्रत्यक्ष, शिवा देखता प्रत्यक्ष, वाचे वदता शिवनाम, वाचे वदता शिवनाम.
एका जनार्दनी शिव, एका जनार्दनी शिव,
एका जनार्दनी शिव, एका जनार्दनी शिव.
निवारी कळिकाळाचा भेव, निवारी कळिकाळाचा भेव, वाचे वदता शिवनाम, वाचे वदता शिवनाम. तयान
बाधे क्रोध काम, तयान बाधे क्रोध काम, वाचे वदता शिवनाम, वाचे वदता शिवनाम.
आमच्या महाराष्ट्रामध्ये संत नरहरी सोनार म्हणून एक फार मोठे संत होऊन गेले. त्यांनी 12 ज्योतिर्लिंगावर एक अभंग केलेला आहे. तो अभंग सादर करून आजच्या कार्यक्रमाची सांगता करूया. सत्य ज्योतिर्लिंग 12, सत्य ज्योतिर्लिंग 12,
सत्य ज्योतिर्लिंग 12.
प्रातकाळी स्मरण करा, प्रातकाळी स्मरण करा,
प्रातकाळी स्मरण करा, प्रातकाळी स्मरण करा.
कोटी कुळे उद्धारा, कोटी कुळे उद्धारा,
उद्धारा, कोटी कुळे
विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ
वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ
मोक्षदाता तो समर्थ मोक्षदाता तो समर्थ
दाता जो समर्थ मोक्षदाता जो समर्थ
पुरविला अंतरीचे आर्त पुरविला अंतरीचे आर्त
अंतरीचे अर्थ पुरविला अंतरीचे
सोमनाथ सोरटी सोमनाथ सोरटी वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ
वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ
ओंकार ममलेश्वर ओंकार ममलेश्वर
ओंकार ममलेश्वर ओंकार ममलेश्वर
सेतुबंध रामेश्वर सेतुबंध रामेश्वर
बंद रामेश्वर सेतुबंध रामेश्वर
भीम उगमी भीमाशंकर भीम उगमी भीमाशंकर
उगमी भीमाशंकर भीम उगमी भीमाशंकर
कृष्णेश्वर वेरुळी कृष्णेश्वर वेरुळी वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ
वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी
नागनाथ अमृतोदकी नागनाथ अमृतोदकी
नागनाथ मृतोदकी नागनाथ मृत्यू
विश्वजन केले सुखी विश्वजन केले सुखी
जन केले सुखी विश्वजन केले सुखी
परळी वैजनाथ सुखी परळी वैजनाथ सुखी
वैजनाथ सुखी परळी वैजनाथ
सुकृत साचे जन्माचे सुकृत साचे जन्माचे वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ
वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ
त्र्यंबक हा तीर्थराज त्र्यंबक हा तीर्थराज
त्र्यंबक हा तीर्थराज त्र्यंबक हा तीर्थ
पुरविला अंतरीचे काज पुरविला अंतरीचे काज
अंतरीचे काज पुरवी अंतरीचे काज
त्याही तेजा माझी तेज त्याही तेजा माझी तेज
तेजा माझी तेज त्याही तेजा माझी
महाकाळ उज्जयनी महाकाळ उज्जयनी वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ
वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी
बद्री केदार उत्तरे बद्री केदार उत्तरे
केदार उत्तरे बद्री केदार
ज्याचे स्मरणे भवातरे ज्याचे स्मरणे भवातरे
स्मरणे भवातरे जाते स्मरणे भवा
ध्यान धरिता वृत्ती नुरे ध्यान धरिता वृत्ती नुरे
धरिता वृत्ती नुरे ध्यान धरिता वृत्ती
निज निश्चळ दासाची निज निश्चळ दासाची वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ
वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्व
नरहरी मने जन्मायावे नरहरी मने जन्मायावे
मने जन्मायावे नरहरी मने जन्माया
शुद्ध सत्य प्रेम भावे शुद्ध सत्य प्रेम भावे
सत्य
प्रेम भावे शुद्ध सत्य प्रेम
वाचे हरि गुण गावे वाचे हरि गुण गावे
हरि गुण गावे वाचे हरि गुण
मानो जपे सर्वदा
पे सर्वधा
वालो जपे सर्वदा ओ ओ ओ
जपे सर्वधा ओ ओ
वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ
विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ वाराणसी विश्वनाथ
गुरुजींचं म्हणणं आहे विठ्ठलाच्या नावाचा जय जयकार विठ्ठल 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 लवकर 2 मिनिट
विठ्ठलाचं भजन घ्यायचं.
विठ्ठल माझा 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 विठ्ठल माझा मी विठ्ठलाचा
विठ्ठल माझा 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 विठ्ठल माझा मी विठ्ठलाचा
विठ्ठल माझा 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 विठ्ठल माझा मी विठ्ठलाचा
पठाण को बोला पठाण
माझा 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 विठ्ठल माझा मी विठ्ठल
विठ्ठल माझा मी विठ्ठलाचा
माझा मी विठ्ठला
विठ्ठल माझा मी विठ्ठलाचा
माझा मी विठ्ठला
विठ्ठल माझा 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 विठ्ठल माझा मी विठ्ठलाचा
माझा 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 विठ्ठल माझा मी
विठ्ठल माझा 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 विठ्ठल माझा मी विठ्ठलाचा
माझा माझा विठ्ठल माझा मी विठ्ठलाचा
विठ्ठल माझा मी विठ्ठलाचा
माझा मी विठ्ठला
विठ्ठल माझा मी विठ्ठलाचा
माझा मी विठ्ठला
विठ्ठल माझा 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 विठ्ठल माझा मी विठ्ठलाचा हा विठ्ठल 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 ठला विठ्ठल ठला विठ्ठल 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 ठला विठ्ठल विठ्ठल पुंडलिकावर्ज हरी विठ्ठल श्री ज्ञानदेव तुकाराम पंढरीनाथ भगवान की माऊली ज्ञानेश्वर महाराज की जगद्गुरु संत तुकाराम महाराज की शांती ब्रह्म एकनाथ महाराज की प्रभु रामचंद्र भगवान की पवनसूत हनुमान की गोपाल बुआ महाराज की विश्वनाथ भगवान की विवेकानंद भगवान की काशी विश्वनाथ भगवान की गंगा माता की सरस्वती माता की प्रयागक्का माता की बद्री विशाल भगवान की महर्षि वेदव्यास भगवान की भारत माता की भारत माता की महादेव महादेव
अरे
गुरुवीणा कोण दाखविल वाट, कोण दाखविल वाट, आयुष्याचा पथ हा दुर्लभ, आयुष्याचा पथ हा दुर्लभ, अवघड डोंगर घाट, अवघड डोंगर घाट, गुरुवीणा कोण दाखविल वाट, कोण दाखविल वाट, भुके जलो मी तहान लागे, भुके जलो मी तहान लागे, पुढे चालू की परतू मागे, भुके जलो मी तहान लागे, पुढे चालू की परतू मागे, हे श्री दत्ता सांभाळी मज, हे श्री दत्ता सांभाळी मज, दावी रूप विराट, दावी रूप विराट, गुरुवीणा कोण दाखविल वाट, कोण दाखविल वाट, दिशान दिसती या अंधारी, दिशान दिसती या अंधारी, नसे आसरा नसे शिदोरी, दिशान दिसती या अंधारी, नसे आसरा नसे शिदोरी, कंठ दाटला आले भरुनी, कंठ दाटला आले भरुनी, लोचन काठोकाठ, लोचन काठोकाठ, गुरुवीणा कोण दाखविल वाट, कोण दाखविल वाट, आयुष्याचा पथ हा दुर्लभ, आयुष्याचा पथ हा दुर्लभ, अवघड डोंगर घाट, अवघड डोंगर घाट, गुरुवीणा कोण दाखविल वाट, कोण
जोरदार टाळ्यांनी अभिनंदन करूया.
मित्र हो, खरं म्हणजे 2 दिवसापासून द 9th वर्ल्ड पार्लमेंट ऑफ सायन्स, रिलिजन अँड फिलॉसॉफी आणि याच्या खाली अनेक विषय घेऊन काहीतरी शोध घेण्याचा प्रयत्न चालू होता आणि लोक असं म्हणत होते ही फार मोठी ऐतिहासिक कॉन्फरन्स आहे. कारण या माननीय नरेंद्र मोदी साहेबांनी हा जो कॉरिडॉर निर्माण केला ज्याचं काशी विश्वनाथ असं नाव आहे आणि या काशी विश्वनाथ कॉरिडॉरमध्ये ज्ञानाचं दालन असा शब्द आपण विनंती करून असावा असं वाटलं पण भावना व्यक्त केली. पण ही ऐतिहासिक कॉन्फरन्स आहे खरं म्हणजे आत्ता सिद्ध झालं असं मला वाटलं. कारण आजपर्यंतच्या जगाच्या इतिहासामध्ये सर तुम्ही म्हणजे आमचे फार मोठे पावले उभं राहा सर जरा बघू द्या लोकांना. आमचे फार मोठे अखिल भारतीय याचे ते प्रमुख आहेत ते ऐकतायत. पण मला नक्की असं वाटलं की हे इतिहासात नक्की नोंद होईल. बाकीचं काही नोंद झालं नाही तरी आंतरराष्ट्रीय स्तरावर आता इथं जयंत खंदारे बसलाय, माझी जरी गुरु बसलेले आहेत, आमचे मित्र दाते बसलेत आणि बहीणजी आली आता महत्वाचं ब्रह्माकुमारी साक्षात आहे हे सर्व. पण मला मगापासून असं वाटलं की चला हे आपण हे चाललं हे काय प्रकार आहे हा काय समारोप आहे. पण नामस्मरणाचं वेगळं महत्त्व मी सांगायची गरज नाही. याचा संपूर्णपणे अगदी याचा इतिहास भारतीय संस्कृतीचा या नामस्मरणामध्ये दडलेला आहे. मग ते विष्णू सहस्रनाम असो किंवा अजून कसं असो. आणि शंकर बापूंची मला आठवण झाली की ज्यांनी खरं म्हणजे आमच्या वडिलांचे मित्र दादांचे ज्यांना आम्ही मोठ्या अभिमानाने राष्ट्र धर्म पूजक असं म्हणतो. राष्ट्र आणि धर्म, पण धर्म म्हणजे स्वतःचं कर्तव्य असं समजून त्या आमचं राहुलचं सारखं जननी जन्मभूमीश स्वर्गातपी गरीयसी पंडित गाडगिळ्याने सांगितलेलं वचन. पण या सर्व गोष्टींच्या मध्ये मगाशी आमचे मित्र मागे उभे आहेत कोपऱ्यामध्ये राजेंद्र सेंडे साहेब. प्रत्येकांची भावना अशी की हे एक फार मोठी ऐतिहासिक घटना या ठिकाणी घडते. कारण का भारताला विश्वगुरूच्या दिशेने जी वाटचाल आहे ती या कॉरिडॉरमधून सुरू होते आहे असं बरंच वर्णन केलं गेलं. पण खरंच सांगतो की असा प्रसंग जगाच्या पाठीवर कावसर कधी झाला का नाही. त्याच्याकरता टाळ वाजवायला आणि याचा आपल्याला गर्व नाही, कणभर सुद्धा नाही. कारण का आपण केलं आणि मी त्याचा कर्ता आहे किंवा मी त्याचा क्रिएटर आहे, निर्माता आहे, हे शब्द इतके मोठे आहेत की त्याचा विचार सुद्धा करू शकत नाही. आणि त्याच्यामुळं क्रिएटर, मेकर ऑफ द वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री, मेकर्स ऑफ द वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री खूप बोललो. पण मला माहिती नाही मला का अचानक अशी एकदम मनात आलं की खरं म्हणजे या सर्व सार कशात आहे तर याच्यातच आहे. नामदेव महाराज असतील, नाथ महाराज असतील आणि माऊलीचं पांडुरंगाचं भजन आणि शिवाचं भजन हाच खरा या ऐतिहासिक अशा कॉन्फरन्सचा गाभा होता. आणि संगीताच्या साधनेतून ईश्वर दर्शन, ज्ञान, कर्म आणि भक्ती 3 मार्ग सांगितले, त्यातला हा तो मार्ग आहे सर्वश्रेष्ठ आणि सर्वात सोपा सरळ गोळ्या बाबड्याचा. तेव्हा मी पुन्हा एकदा हेच आपलं अध्यक्ष भाषण. धन्यवाद.
थँक्यू सर, थँक्यू सो मच.
नमस्कार. 2 दिवस इथे शब्द गाजत होते. आत्ता टाळ मृदुंग गाजल्याबरोबर नाद ब्रह्म निर्माण झालं आणि खरोखर असं वाटलं काशीमध्ये प्रत्यक्ष पंढरपूर अवतरलं. रामकृष्ण हरी, रामकृष्ण हरी, रामकृष्ण हरी.
A quick announcement for tomorrow. Day 3 would begin at 9:15 sharp. The theme of the session 7 would be need to redefine philosophy and interpret its Indian and Western concept for the well-being of entire mankind. आप सभी से विनती है कल सुबह 9 बजे हम सब इस हॉल में हाजिर होंगे और 9:15 बजे हमारा 7वां सत्र शुरू होगा इसी त्र्यंबक हॉल में. आज के लिए